My name's Paul Church from Clarity Crafts here in the UK. Welcome to another episode of Groovi Tuesday. I see we have some friends over on our YouTube page already. The lovely Ian, Karen and Clive, good morning. What's the weather like with everybody today? It's a bit gloomy here in Edenbridge in Kent compared to yesterday, which was glorious sunshine. Today is sort of dull and damp. Good morning, Mo. The lovely Sue should be in the room with you this morning. Whoops, hang on, what's my phone doing? Do that, there we go. So I hope everybody's well. Good morning, Mo, Helen. It's grey in Warden. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the weather's meant to be doing. Rainy in Redditch. There we go. Sue's there and she says all good. Thank you, Sue. Gloomy in Hatfield. Yeah, let's stay inside. I mean, being in this studio here, there's no windows whatsoever, so it doesn't matter what it's doing outside, does it? It's all about being inside, and for the next hour, we'll ignore the weather, close the curtains. Don't worry about what's going on outside, whatever the weather's doing. It's brightening up with Jayne. Good morning, Karin. Not very nice in Crawley. Cooler and damp in Nottingham. Dull in Warsash. Yeah, I know. Who knows? The weather changes every day, doesn't it? So that's what the weather does. Can't change it. So I hope everybody's well. Had a good session in the shack with Barb yesterday with the, I have to be careful how I say this, with the Groovi chicks. They were fabulous. All of a sudden, sort of taking the outline of those characters, really sort of, they really are, they do look like Jazz. For those of you coming to the open day, you'll see Jazz. She'll be serving you your teas and coffees with her mom. And yeah, they really are sort of the spirit of Jazz. So yeah. So we've got lots going on this week, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Pull up a chair. Roz is joining us live this week instead of catch up. There we go. Beautiful in Somerset. The weather definitely gives us something to talk about indeed. And also hashtag made in May as well. That's definitely given everybody something to talk about, hasn't it? Over on our social media on Groovi Worldwide, Clarity Worldwide, and on Barb's blog. That contraption thing, did you read Barb's blog last night? Poor Dave. Yeah, but as Barb said, it was a real game changer when it comes to sort of throwing her pots, so to speak. Not literally, but so I hope everybody's well. Jill had a 12-hour internet outage yesterday. That's terrible, isn't it? When there's no internet or there's no electricity, I mean, how did we used to survive back in the day? The old dial-up internet. Couldn't use the phone if you was on the internet. Now we just take everything for granted, don't we? Jayne's having a tidy up. Good morning, Glynis. Took us a while to find us today. Well, I'm glad you found us. Good morning, Bernie. Josie's in the room as well. There we go. And nice and relaxed for the next hour. We're just going to chill out and we're going to continue our journey using the lovely Jayne Nestorenko floral sampler plate that we've been looking at over the past. I think we're up to week 9 now. Yeah, week 9 on this. And this is literally just off, just the tip of the iceberg. It really is, because we've only been concentrating on one of the flowers. And we've been doing our white work, our shading, using the fantastic shader tools that are now back in stock. And then we've started looking at the colouring options as well now. So if you're new to Groovi, do we have any newbies in the room? Anybody tuning in for the first time? Come on, put your hand up. Don't be shy. We don't bite. Well, I don't. I'm not that hungry yet. time really does fly, doesn't it, Jane? Yeah, it's, where are we now? The 21st of May. Goodness me. Christmas soon. I know, I said the C word. Terrible. It's not long to the open days. Yeah, open days come first and then Christmas. Yeah, because Christmas kicks off on TV. I think it's in June or July. Can't remember now. So, ho, 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 so to speak. So we've been looking at, say, Jayne's lovely plate, and the lovely Jayne Telford showcased this on her TV show the other week on the Pergamano show. And they're just beautiful little tiles that you can, I mean, just the sentiments can make a lovely little card in its own right. But we've just been concentrating on the one flower, on the dahlia, and it all started with some inspiration from a piece from Karen Jackson. And then what we did was, where's my artwork gone? We then looked at building up our levels of white work, didn't we? So using the ball tools, using the shader tools, tracing out with the number 1, the number 2, the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 to get the different levels of brightness of the line art, and just to show that the different looks that you can get from doing that. Then what we did, and this was a piece that we showcased on TV, wasn't it? This is from one of the Linda Williams It's a Wrap collection. So to create this, I mean, for me, to create this type of shadow embossing, let me come in on the other camera, to create that sort of shadow embossing. For me, the only way I've really been able to achieve that is by using the shader tools. And it really, for me personally, it really makes a difference. I've got to stop saying. So we looked at white work, shadow embossing, building up the different layers, and we really, well, I enjoyed that process. Then what we started to do the other week was look at colouring options. And let me zoom in a little bit. Let me move that out of the way so you can get a closer look at this. Oh, I'm just going to stretch. Which way am I going to go? I'm going to come in, and we're going to come in slowly. Slowly, slowly, slowly. So I use different colour implements to colour in my dahlia. So the first one was our metallic gel pen. You've got that lovely shimmer. So this one's coloured in on the front. Then the next one, we looked at using the Pergolina pencils, and I used the B5 and the B14 with some Dorso oil and the blending pen. The next one, I used the Perga colour pens. I used the number 9, and I used it on the mix mat and a dry brush. And then finally, we had a look at I created this piece with the Dorso crayons from the Lively collection, using the purple and the navy, scribbled out on the mix mat with some Dorso oil, and then using the blending pen to apply. Now on the black, it doesn't really sort of stand out. Let me find, if I take a piece of our lovely companion paper and pop it on a complementary colour. See on there, so if you change the colour, it can change thing. See, for me, this is where the companion papers really come into their own. If I pop it on a piece of white, you'll definitely see the vibrancy of the colours, but you tend to lose the white line art. Okay, but if I bring this up, you can see how we've got some lovely shading, some depth of colour on there. You see? So then what we started to do the other week was we decided to go with other colours. So if I change the background colour, there's got to be a colour in here that will complement this lovely orange. Maybe that one might work. Whoops, sorry. There we go. So this was using the pergaliner pencils, and that was using the red and the yellow B pencil. I know that because that would always be my go-to. I didn't even have to, I should really write them down, shouldn't I? Let me correct that and write that down now for those of you that maybe missed, and you can go back and watch on the previous episodes. So let me see. So this was using my pergaliner pencils, and I used my B8 and my B11. B8 and B11, and I used Dorso oil and blending pen. Okay. Now this one, due to popular demand, because we asked everybody in the room, and this one is using the Dorso crayons. So Dorso crayons, and we've used the Lively set, which is this set of Dorso crayons here. Okay, and we used the Dorso oil so far. And for this one, what we did was we scribbled all on there, all over. No, first of all, we laid down a layer. So it was the Dorso oil undercoat. We did that first, didn't we? Then it was the Dorso crayon. And then we used our finger to blend in the colour. And then where we went over the lines, we then used an eraser pencil to remove our messiness. Our messiness, is that a word? So let's have a look. So then I can still see. Right, okay. Do you remember last week I said, I wonder if we leave it on there, will it still come off the following week? You know what? It actually comes off better after letting it lie for a little while. So maybe the oil, although it had evaporated, was better to leave it, say, for a couple of hours, because it's definitely coming off much better, because I wasn't really happy with the hue that it was leaving around the outside of it. And I'm using our pergaliner white pencil to remove. I just find it's a quicker way of removing colour much more quickly. I mean, you can see how much colour is still there by the colour of the dust. So I'm much happier now that we've left it a week and the colour is coming off much better. So there we go, that's something we've learnt, well, something I've learnt. Okay, so definitely use a brush to remove any debris. Yeah, I'm much happier with that now. Okay, there we go. So now we can start to look at introducing some shading, to add some depth to it, like we did with the pergaliner pencils. So we're going to follow the same principle where I put my base coat of yellow down first, okay, and then introduced some red to give it that lovely sort of orange tone to it. And actually it looks quite nice working on this piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out and I'm going to use this to work on, because I think this will be a lot better for everybody to see at home. And this is taken from the lovely Rainbow River. Okay. So to continue with today's session, we're definitely going to need an eraser pencil. definitely going to need a brush for removing the dust. Then we're going to stick with the lively colours of Dorso or crayons. Okay. Actually, I wonder. Hang on. No, let's stick to the plan, Paul. We're going to use that. We're also going to take a blending pen or two. And I need my mix mats. Luckily, I've put everything back in my tool organizer. So mix mats, blending pen. We're going to need a spot-on sponge, possibly. We're going to use our Dorso oil, our eraser pencil. Yeah, I think that's all we're going to use for the moment. Okay. Are we all good with this? I see there's lots of chat going on in the room. I wasn't paying attention, so if I've missed anything, I'm sure somebody, if you've asked any questions, I'm sure Sue will prompt me, or the question may already have been answered. Right. Okay. So we're going to have a nice session with the colouring with the Dorso crayons. If you missed the shack yesterday, then I will give you details of what's coming up, what is coming up this week at Clarity Towers and on Create and Craft TV, and also give you a sneaky peek of what I will be showcasing on Thursday at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock, but we've got plenty of time for that. Okay. Are we all good? Are we all nice and relaxed? Yes, I know I am. Okay. I've got a bit of a stiff neck, but apart from that, it's all good. Right, okay, let's have a looky. Where are we going to start? So let's move everything to one side so that we can concentrate on this area. I'm also going to bring in my Groovi guard as well, because just by coincidence, it is a perfect aperture for this square. Okay. And I'm going to go with my mix mat for oil. But I mean, I could use one with water. It's just obviously know to yourself that you've put oil on. Okay. And I'm going to take the red and I'm going to scribble some red out onto my mix mat. Pop that back in there. I'm going to take a new nib. There's a couple of different ways I can try to do this. Okay. And I know many of our friends at home will do things in different ways. I know the design team will do differently. I'm just doing, well, what I find works for me. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. It's one of those things, isn't it? So before we get started, I'll just have a slurp of my coffee. Okay. So we can take our Dorso oil, put it onto the mat and mix our colour up so it's nice and fluid, but not too fluid. Or we can put some Dorso oil on the sponge, use our nib to pick up and mix in. Okay. And I reckon that's what I'm going to try first. Let's put some Dorso oil on there. And I'm going to pick up some oil. That's, you can see there's quite a lot of oil on there at the moment. And then let's have a look at mixing up that colour. There we go. So now we have some colour on our nib. So let's see what happens. Now what I could really do here, Sue, sorry to be a pain, my glasses are in my office because I've been prepping for the TV. If you wouldn't mind running up the stairs and grabbing them for me, please. So all I'm going to do now is put a little bit of red just in the tips of the petals, like I did with the pencil. And it's just a little bit of red, not too much. Okay. So I keep going back to my colour, picking up some more red, because the red is a stronger colour than the yellow. So we don't want to overpower that colour. Okay. So it's just at the tips of the petals. We go back. And then we pick up just a little bit of colour. And if we find that the colour stops moving on the palette, then we can just go back in. And they're not my glasses.
Oh, for God's sake. They're
on the floor. They're on the floor. Yeah, near the printer. If you look on the floor, they're in my blue case. Thank you. So I'll just put a little bit more oil. Sorry, poor Sue. It's because I've been prepping it at my desk for the TV show, and I thought I had everything. And then the most important part, really, especially on the fine detail, is my glasses. That's it. Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Much better. Filthy glasses. Give them a quick clean. Right. Okay. Oh, much, much better. Goodness me. Okay. Oh, I can see the petals now. Right, okay. So it's literally just the tip of the petals with the red. And I tend to do this. I mean, for me, the red and the yellow, I love that effect that it gives you that beautiful sort of blend of orange. And for me, it's my safety colour. Because in a way, I know what I'm going to get. So I sort of stepped out of my colour comfort zone when I did the purple version or the lilac version. So give some other colours some go. Have a play around. I mean, dahlias come in so many fantastic colour options, don't they? Let's say we're just concentrating at this point on the dahlia. And when you look at the number of flowers on that design plate from Jayne, then, I mean, the roses, I showed you some pictures of the roses in my garden, didn't I, last week? So we can see here, I mean, you do get, I've seen it, lovely dahlias with a really sort of dark tip to the edge, but it just needs that a little bit more blending in, and then we can go in and add more colour to it because we can build up those colours. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn back over to the back of it, and I'm going to take a dry nib. Okay, so a dry nib now. Jayne says that I need one of those chains from Hilma. I probably do, but the only time I wear these glasses is when I'm crafting. So when I'm doing YouTube on a Tuesday with everybody, definitely need my glasses. When I do TV, I definitely need my glasses. But for everyday sort of tasks, I don't need them. But I'd forgotten that I was prepping for the TV and I'd left the glasses in my office. So, right, so let's see what happens now when I take a dry nib and draw that red into the yellow. So it softens down that colour. And I'm using the same technique as I would. Let me zoom in a little bit closer. Okay, oh, I'll stretch. I'll try and come as close as possible without it going out of focus. Jill, I'm nursing a dahlia which my daughter sourced for me from a specialist. It's called War of the Roses. The flowers are red and white together. Fingers crossed. Wow, that sounds lovely. It sounds a contradiction in itself, doesn't it? A dahlia, and it's called War of the Roses. Roses dahlia. Yeah. So what we're doing now is we're just dragging out that red into the yellow to give us that lovely hue of colour. And I'm using the same techniques if I was doing like white work. So what I'm doing is I'm starting at the line, and then as I'm sort of going out, I'm lifting off. Okay. So we're just going to work our way round just to soften that red into the yellow. Just like so. And if we find that it becomes a little bit overpowering, like for me, this one here is a little bit too red, then I can take my eraser and lift that off and then go back in and reintroduce the colour. Karin, is this with a dry nib? It is indeed, yes. I swapped out my nib once I'd put my initial layer of colour down, and now I'm using a dry nib to draw out. So look, that's way too red there. And the reason being is because there's a little bit of dust. See, that one's quite vibrant as well, isn't it? But I could probably, is it going to go back on? Yeah, I could probably go back in here. So I'm sort of lifting off and going back into some of the lighter ones. Now, if you see that you've got little bits of dust, then what I would suggest, rather than attempt to blend it like I've done there, then just take your brush and just gently brush off any dust. Okay. Yeah, I've got lots of lovely roses coming into bloom now in my garden. And I think there's 3 that are still yet to, they're in bud, they're about to burst into colour. And one of them is my my Barbara Streisand rose. It's a lovely sort of lilac-y, sort of blue moony, pinky colour. So I've just swapped over to another clean dry nib just to see if I can lift. Yeah, there we go. So I can lift off some of that colour. So if I take my sponge like so, there we go. Top tip, go to, if you find that you've gone on too heavy like I found there because of the dust, then take another dry nib, lift the colour off and then wipe it on your dry spot on sponge. There we go. So has anybody else coloured in with the Dorso crayons like this, or have you used the Dorso crayons mainly to create sort of like a general blend in the background? Okay, right. Let's have a vote. Let's have some interaction from everybody at home so you can keep track. Does the rose burst into song as well? It does. It says It sings, on a clear day you can see forever. No. Right, let's have a little vote. Let's have a little game. Who prefers to colour with, we're going to go with Pergolina pencils, Perga colour pens, or Dorso crayons. So you can go pens, pencils, crayons. Okay, pens, pencils, crayons. Let's see what everyone's most popular option is. Okay, the voting is now open. You have 5 minutes to cast your vote, and the lines will then close. Okay, and Sue's going to attempt to keep count. I have a feeling in my head. I'm not looking at the screen. I'm going to concentrate, but I'm going to have a guess at what I think everyone's most popular option is going to be. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're just gently going into that yellow. And what I'm doing now is I'm starting in the yellow and I'm drawing backwards into the red. Okay. And this is still using that dry nib. It's the second dry nib that I've gone over to, because I think the other one just had a little bit too much red in there. Okay. See, sometimes I think we go to, I mean, for me personally, my go-to has always been the pencils. And the other week, Jayne was showing us how you can combine the B pencils with the A pencils when she was on TV the other week. And I'd never seen that before. I mean, I'd heard about it. I mean, why the pencils were there, but I'd never actually seen it in action. Okay. Probably taking most of, I'm not taking most of it. I think this is going to look really nice when we turn it over. So now, when we turn it over, we've got that lovely tinge of the red going into that lovely yellow. So it's very similar effect. It's not far off, is it? From the pencils with the crayons. Clive likes the Dorset crayons on the oil mix mat, but using small watercolor brushes. What are these Dorset crayons, Clive? I'm sure, is it autocorrect? I'm sure you mean the Dorso crayon, unless maybe there is a thing called Dorset crayons, but I reckon it's the Dorso crayons, isn't it? Okay, so let's have a look. I reckon, I know it's not 5 minutes, but I reckon it's been whizzing up. I could see it from the corner of my eye. I reckon the most popular option is the Pergolina pencils. Am I correct? Sue will probably tell me. Oh, we've got a yellow warning of thunderstorms. Oh, that's nice. Predictive text. And the winner is dum 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 drum rock pencils. Yeah, I thought so. If you're new to parchment, well, not necessarily new to it, but if you're new to, they are definitely the safety net when you come to colouring in. And I suppose because you can mix them with the pergoliners, you can use your polychromos, you can mix and match them, and you can also use the pencils on top of your Dorso crayons as well, which we can have a look at now. We can add a little bit more depth to that colour. So, but before we do that, should we have a little bit of a breather? Do you want to see what's coming up on the Groovi shows on Thursday on TV? Okay, right. It's really warm in here. I'm glad I put well, I've got a supply of shirts to one side that I haven't worn since last year. They've just been hanging up, gathering dust. But I had a jumper on this morning. I thought I'm going to melt in this room. So quick change, wear it for an hour, put it back, leave it there for a year and bring it out again next year. Right, okay. Okay. Before we do anything else, let me just bring that piece of artwork in just while I refocus the overhead camera. Let's pop that underneath so you can see the difference. So if I zoom out like so. So there's not much difference, is there? And considering I'm using two different mediums, I'm using the pencils and the crayons, I have a very similar color palette and effect. And it's just a different way of applying that color. Because I'm sure many of our friends at home would tend to use the crayons to cover larger areas. But you can definitely use them, as we've just shown, in the smaller areas. Okay. So we've got lots going on. I mean, not just this week, but sort of coming up. So let's just have a bit of a recap on what we have, what's coming up first, because we've got so many craft-alongs coming along. Craft-alongs coming along, haven't we? So the first craft-along, oops, zoom out a bit more. Hang on a moment, stretch. Right, okay. So the first craft-along is a week on Thursday with Barbara and the Calligraphy Girls. Okay, 3 craft-along, 3 course meal, 1 clean and tidy stamp project, 1 arty and grungy stamp project, and a delectable groovy project for pudding. Okay, so that's the first one. So that's a date for your diary. Then the next craft-along after that is on the 20th of June with Barb. Same again, 7 p.m. live on Facebook and YouTube. 7 p.m. until we're done. And it's using the latest release of the abstract die collection with the bees and butterflies, or butterflies and bees. Okay. And what we'll do near the time, if you go to the moment of clarity, you'll see a list of ingredients. There'll be a downloadable list of what you'll need. So that'll be available nearer the time. And then the next one is a week later, but it's on a Wednesday with myself. And this is going to be using the brand new Paper Stitch by Clarity collection. For those of you that tuned in last week when I was on TV, you would have seen that it was a rather busy 4 hours of TV. So we're going to take the initial one that comes in the starter kit, because many of our friends at home just bought the starter kit. So we will concentrate on that one. Again, nearer the time, we'll put an ingredients list up of what will be required. And we'll just spend an enjoyable evening stitching on card. Okay. Then, so that's 3 different craft-alongs coming up. Okay. All free of charge. You can either tune in live or you can tune in afterwards. Okay, it's entirely up to you. But then let's have a look at our events that we've also got coming up. If you want some sort of real sort of hands-on help, so to speak. So Clarity Open Days, fast approaching on the 7th and 8th of June, £8 per day, Ditton in Maidstone in Kent. Okay. Then we have our summer retreats. Now the 13th and 14th is sold out. 15th and 16th, there's a couple of spaces still available. And this is the summer retreats where you get inky, you get groovy, you get stencily. It's a real mixture, 2 days event. And they're always fun-filled, educational, so much fun. They really are. And then finally, towards the end of the year, on the 14th and 15th of October, we have the Parchment Retreat in Tunbridge Wells, headed up by Linda and Barbara. And I know what's planned already, and you will absolutely love it. That's all I'm saying. I know what's happening on that event. Okay, so you can just go to the events section on our website where you can book your open day tickets, you can book the summer retreats, you can also book the parchment retreat as well. However, if you want some more information, then you can always give Sue a call in the office. Okay, so that's what's sort of, I suppose, highlights of the Clarity year, really. The open days, the summer retreats, and the parchment retreats. So that's what's sort of coming up. Now, on Thursday, a little bit closer to home, I will be on, it's the final instalment of the It's a Wrap collection from Linda Williams. And the final two designs in this collection is the folded heart, and there's also a A5 plate that gives you the stand in order for your artwork to sit on, and I'll explain why that's key. And then the other design is the folded bell. So we've got a lovely wedding bell, and then we've got a Christmas bell. Beautiful designs from Linda Williams. And as always, the whole plate is just crammed full of designs. Okay, Mo's making a folded heart at the moment. Wow, there you go. So let's have a look at some artwork. Okay, so let's move this out of the way. So the folded heart, so this first piece is from Francis. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit now that we've done the wide shot. Okay, and zoom in. So the idea of the folded heart and the folded bells is, and the whole It's a Wrap collection, is that it wraps around the back. Now I'm going to come in on this one for this so you can really, isn't that gorgeous? I mean, all the artwork from the design team, as always, as Barb said in the blog the other day, so much work involved. So, and then you open it up, look at that. Just blows me away, it really does. So that's a piece from Francis. We then have another piece from Sheila. Isn't it funny how you can change the colour? This lovely frill, the lovely lily of the valley. Open it up, but it also wraps around the back as well. But if you're not into, so these are also die cut cards that Mr. Dave cuts out on his machine. But if you're not into, also, why do you need a stand? Because it doesn't, hang on, let's see if I can get this, wrong camera, because if I take, so I can bring it up, if you put that, look, there's nowhere for it to stand, so it sits on the stand and holds it in place. Okay, I'll show that on TV. I didn't bring any stands in. However, what Jayne has done on this piece is she's just taken that heart and created a topper. Absolutely gorgeous. A little bit of picot cutting. So this is all done on one layer, whereas these pieces here have been done on two layers. So you've got the inside. But if you like a full heart, this is what Josie has created. And I know it's Josie, I don't even have to look at it. So what Josie's done, I mean, look at that lovely grid work in the middle. Isn't that gorgeous? And it still opens as well. So you don't have to wrap it around the back if you don't want to. I mean, there really are no words of what I have in front of me. And then this is really extreme. This has been done by Karen Jackson, and this has all been picot cut out. Okay, you really can't see the beauty. Let me see if I can come in on this one. You really can't see the beauty of all that picot cutting. Patience. That's all I can say is patience. Mine, would have a few branches of the lily of the valley. Okay. Then moving on to, whoops, wrong button. Moving on to the bells. So this is by Maggie Byford. So it's the same concept. Oh, hang on, that one's, oh, Maggie's stuck hers down, but it wraps around the back. So Maggie's put some foam pads behind it to give it a little bit of depth, but it's using shaped cards as well. So the bells, shaped cards. The next piece is from Linda Williams. So this is just done as a topper on some of our lovely rainbow parchment. Isn't that gorgeous? This is like that lovely shadow embossing on that ribbon. Look at that. Now, I like these as well. Just these lovely little flourishes. And as we know, with the beauty of the Groovi system, you don't have to fill the bells in. You can leave the detail of the bell empty. And then the final piece to share with you is by Carol Pankstello, and we have a lovely Christmas bell. That's absolutely stunning as well. So that's using some of our designer paper. I think that's one of Dee's. I think it might be toffee apple designer paper. And then some gold pen and metallic gel pens just on there. Absolutely stunning. So on Thursday, I'll be putting these two through their paces. I've got some demos prepared by Linda Williams from when we've been on with them before. And as you know, we never really get to various different stages, but I've got a bell demo and I have a heart demo. So undecided which one to go for first. But yeah, so that's what we've got on Thursday at 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. So looking at the other TV shows this week, so Thursday at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock is Get Groovy with Clarity. Then Friday, 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. is Barb's normal Crafting with Clarity sort of mixed media stamp show, and that's at 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock. And then because it's Maybank holiday, we will be doing a weekender, which Barb will launch at 4 p.m. with a fantastic new die set. Okay, it's one set of dies, but wow, you'll have to tune in. So that's at 4 o'clock. Barb will launch that at 4. Then I'll take over at 7. And then I'll be back with you on the Saturday at 8 a.m. and 12 midday, stock permitting. Okay, so having got 2, 4, 6, 8 hours of TV over the 3 days. So I'm sure many of you will tune in for 1 or 2 of those hours to keep us company. Don't forget, it's all about hashtag Made in May this month. And I mean, check out Barb's blog she's done the last couple of days. Set the pottery and Dave's wood turning and what everybody's been posting over social media and Facebook. Absolutely amazing. It really is. So I think that's all to sort of keep you occupied this week. So there's no shack on Thursday. There's no shack on Monday. I'll be back with you on Tuesday of next week for Groovi Tuesday. And then on the Thursday evening is the first of those free craft alongs with the calligraphy girls. So Barbara and the calligraphy girls. Sounds like a group, doesn't it? Or a musical, Barbara and the calligraphy girls. I like that. Right, okay. Let's go back to our colouring, shall we? Ken says he might tune in for 1 or 2 hours or all 8. Maggie Craner, is there any chance you can find out why Virgin are not putting Clarity on the program list? It just says an hour of crafting. Interesting. Maggie, are there, I know when I looked on the Create and Craft website this morning, there was nothing populated for, I think there was for Thursday, Friday and Saturday. They hadn't populated the website. There was only a couple of different shows showing. Is Virgin showing any other crafting companies during those 3 days, or is it just those ones that are missing? Just let Sue know, that would be great, and then maybe I'll reach out to the TV and find out, because I'm not sure how that works in relation to it being populated on Virgin or on Sky. I know somebody at Create and Craft has to give that information, but I don't know. Yeah, so just read. Virgin is always like that, says Bernie. It's the same on Create and Craft, and it seems to go on late. Yeah, I will speak to them and find out what the delay is in relation to it being populated on both Virgin and Create and Craft, and also even on the actual day they're not showing. They're listing 1 or 2 others at the moment. Okay, all right, well, I'll reach out to someone at the TV and find out how that works, because I'm sure, see, I don't know whether it gets transmitted or the information gets given to them and then it goes through. I don't know how that listing type thing works, but I'll find out, see what I can find out for everybody. But there, you can always check our website to our events calendar, and it will tell you exactly when we're on and all the times. And if you sign up to our newsletters as well, our emails that we send out, we normally send one out at the beginning of the week on a Monday of the TV schedule of what's coming up as well. So yeah, but I'll see what I can find out anyway. Okay, right, let's do a little bit more colouring, shall we? Should we build up the colour on this? Okay. Right, my watcher says I'm almost there. I've got to keep standing. Keep standing. Right, ouch, static. Okay, so let's zoom in. So what we'll do this week is we'll finish off using the Dorso crayons, and then next week we will then look at the Perga colour pens, okay, and see how they work. Right, okay, let me just read some of these comments. Blah, 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 blah. It's been going on for weeks. Okay, it could be maybe whoever at Create and Craft hasn't been around, or I don't know. I can't guess why that wouldn't be the thing, and I don't know how it works, but I'll see what I can find out. Okay. All right. So we're going to go back onto the back of our artwork. Then I'm going to bring in my mix mat again, and I've got several nibs on the go. So these 2 are my dry nibs there, and I know that because this one is yellow with the Dorso oil. So let's pick up some more of the red, and I just want to put a little bit more red where I sort of lifted off a little bit too much of the colour. So what I'm actually doing, I'm dabbing the red on like so, rather than sweeping it on. So I'm just dabbing lightly. So this way you need 2 blending nibs, blending pens. And then I'll just gently go in, and I'm tickling the colour again. Just tickling. Do like to tickle the parchment, don't we? Parchment likes a nice tickle. Behaves more nicely if you tickle it. There we go. That's fair. See, it doesn't take long. And I'm sure if I left that for, say, come back in this afternoon and go back on, I'd get a deeper depth of colour as well. Now, we were talking about how we can sort of use the pencils on top. So should we give that a go? So I've got my red pencil. So I've got the B pencil. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just give it a nice sharpen. Okay, so just sharpen the pencil. So I've got a really nice fine tip, and then let's just do a little bit of flicking from the bottom. Let's see what this does. Maybe, yeah, it's definitely added a little bit more definition to the colour there. So let's do this on the, no, don't like it on the front, me personally. So I'm going to rub it out. I'm going to go back to the back of my work. Let me do half of the flower. Or one side of it, just so we can have a comparison. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm just very gently tickling the parchment again. I'm not going on heavy. If I bring that up, let me bring it up closer to the camera before it goes out of focus. There we go. So you can see I'm just using the pencil just to add a little bit more depth. Okay, so I'm going to take, this is why you need so many blending nibs and blending pens. I'm going to take a clean dry one, and I really am just tickling the parchment. I'm not putting any pressure on at all. And what that's doing, because I've already got the base layer of the Dorso crayons, and we've already used the oil to blend in, this is blending in beautifully. I mean, I don't know whether you're meant to do this or not, but it's working for me. Someone will probably say, oh yeah, that's what you're meant to do. I don't know. I'm just giving it a go, see what happens. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I think it is. I think it's working. I like it. But hopefully you can definitely, yeah, look, you can definitely see the difference, can't you? Between the two different sides of it. See? So let me bring that up. So you can see, yeah, I like that. Right, have we got, yeah, of course we have. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go round with my pencil, tickling the parchment. Tickle, tickle. Doesn't need much. Just needs a little tickling. And I'm really not applying any pressure with the pencil. I don't need to. I like this. And to be honest with you, I've never tried this before. This is the first time of combining the pencils with the Dorso crayon. I really haven't tried it at all. Has anyone before done this? Has anybody used pencils on top of the Dorso crayon. I'm sure many of you have. Many of you that have been doing it for years must have. Must have? Must have. I really like this. Isn't it? Wow. I'm waiting to see now. I prefer this this side. Well, I don't know. I haven't looked at the front yet. Okay. Go back to my dry nib again. Tickle your parchment. I really like this. See, sometimes it's those spur of the moment choices that it'll either work or it doesn't work. But if it doesn't work, I am not worried at all, because we're sharing, aren't we? We're sharing what we're doing. So what's Glenys saying? You can paint over Dorso crayons too. The oil in those will protect the parchment from moisture. Okay, Glenys, what do you mean by painting over? Do you mean that sort of technique that Jayne was showing on the Pergamano shows? So you put sort of like your base coat of your Dorso crayons, and then using the A pencils. Is that what you mean? See, I always get confused when people talk about painting. I think paint, but with parchment, it tends to be with like the pencils, doesn't it? Yes, so same as Jayne. Okay, Glenys. Okay. So, do me a favour. Type out what the stage of that would be. So, you've got your image. Let me guess to see whether I'm going on those set on the right lines. So I've got my image of my dahlia. I'm going to wipe it with the Dorso oil. I'm going to put my Dorso crayon on, and then I'm going to blend that colour in. And then I'm going to take my aqua pencils on a damp brush and then apply the colour on top. Is that the right way of doing it, or is it different? I will let you answer that question while I carry on and do this, because I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I think that would be a very useful technique to have a look at. Put down some Dorso crayon, blend it with the oil, and then the aqua pencil on a brush. Okay. So you don't need to you don't need to put oil on the parchment first, just crayons, then blend with oil, and then aqua pencil. I'm guessing that's on a damp brush. See, everyone does all different things differently, don't they? And I just go with what's in my head. Well, I didn't put any pencil on that one. Yeah. Okay. Excuse me. Right. Yeah, so Jayne put the B pencil down, but if I remember, she didn't blend. I think she just scribbled the white pencil on. Perfect. Linus will write a blog about it. That would be fantastic. Yeah, that would be brilliant. Thank you, Glynis. See, our design team, there's no words. There really are no words. And if you're coming to the open days, then you can attend the snip clinic with Glynis. If you're looking to perfect your picot cutting or want to have a try of the 3 different types of scissors, then Glynis will be there to snip away. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Let me bring that in. I think I found my new favorite coloring technique. Dorso crayons and pencils. Let me put that on there. Okay, where's my pen gone? Dorso crayons lively, Dorso oil undercoat, blending red, and then pergolina B11 dry blended. There we go. Okay, I'm well pleased with that. Yes, I like that. I might see if I can incorporate that on one of the shows on Thursday, on either the bell or the heart. I can't remember what I'm doing on those, but there's definitely some colour being introduced there, so I might give that a go. I know we've run over slightly, so thank you as always to lovely Sue, the design team, and obviously for everybody for keeping me company during this lovely, whatever the weather day is. Don't forget to tune in on Thursday, 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock, Friday, 9 a.m, 1 p.m, 4 p.m, and 7 p.m, and then on Saturday at 8 a.m. and 12 midday. Check out Barbara's blog, barbaragrayblog.com. Check out the Clarity Matters blog on Saturday and Sunday, and hashtag made in May. Well, I've just made that in May, so maybe I'll put that over on social media. Thank you as always for your company and your questions, and I will see you all back for another episode of Groovi Tuesday next week. Take care now.